I'd rather create something that others criticise than create nothing and criticise others.
If you have high quality product behind the bar, it's like a weapon.
It's not about the figures, it's about who those figures are.
The Hospopreneurs Podcast.
I'm going to drink this beer.
Yeah, let's crack them.
With James Henderson.
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Hospopreneurs Podcast. Having recently opened the Cloakroom in Brisbane, Michael Pattison is already cracking on to Melbourne to open another venue. In this short episode today, we get a taste of the mentality behind these exciting and ambitious endeavours. I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the show, Mikey.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Mate, the way that I like to start the show is by asking if you have a crazy hospitality story.
Bro, there's too many. I think everyone says that, but there's too many.
Yeah, man. Let's go with something weird, wonderful you've seen a patron do. We had...
What patrons have done? I've had a female defecate herself while waiting for a drink.
Oh, man.
That was my first code brown call over the radio.
Shit, was she... yeah, shit, indeed. Was she wearing a dress?
Nah.
Man, some pants. Far out.
So you
That's
use
pretty
your
hectic.
imagination for that one.
Was she just super drunk, or what was the go?
Oh, mate, I think there was something else in play. But
Yeah.
I think that decision in her head to either go to the bathroom or wait for a drink, she made the wrong decision.
Oh wow! No, I like that one. That's crazy. Thanks for that, man. The next question I like to open the show with is why you do what you do.
I kind of just fell into it. Like, I started as a glassy when I was 17. Studying at uni at the time and kind of got the bug and kind of dropped out of uni and kind of figured out where I want to go in the industry and then made it happen.
Awesome. But tell me more about why. Like, what is it that inspires you about the hospitality industry?
It's just the environment, it's the teams, the fast pace, and it's that great team mentality, that family mentality that a bar does bring, and just the excitement and the atmosphere that you're surrounded in.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
That family, that excitement, the energy. You touched on there on your background, you sort of fell into it. How did you get into the hospitality industry?
A mate just hit me up. I was looking for a job. There was a spot open as a glassy at the old Empire Hotel, and just slung glasses until 6 in the morning every night for a while, and then got the opportunity to sling glasses at Press Club and kind of learn my cocktails. And then got the opportunity to go over Barry and become a bar back there.
So you stay within a 50-metre radius.
Yeah, the Valley, I think I did 7 years in that, like a 50-metre radius of that intersection in the Valley.
Yeah, right at the top there and in Brunswick.
Pretty much.
Man, cool, okay. So tell me more about what you're learning or exploring now.
Well, obviously, it's been a pretty heavy learning curve opening my own venue at the moment, but just always trying to learn things that we can push and up the quality of, be able to produce that people haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm. In terms of pushing the quality or innovating, what are you doing in that space?
The major thing here, like even a cloakroom, is the ice. Something that you do, a lot of bars don't look at as much as other venues do. Yeah. It's just like the quality of the ice that you're putting in your drink.
Yeah.
You obviously spend so much time on your quality of booze, produce, glassware, and the way it's served. It's just the ice is something that sometimes lacks.
Yes. What is it that you guys do differently?
So everything's made in house here. So we freeze, the water directionally instead of like a conventional ice machine will freeze from every side, which causes the water to get stuck in the middle, last part to freeze, which causes your ice to be cloudy. Mm-hmm. So we freeze directionally, so it's freeze from one side. Which pushes all the impurities of the water to the bottom, which we remove. So the ice is more pure and actually melts slower and is colder as well, which is obviously good for a cocktail.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. It's interesting to hear you mention that because there aren't many bars that do think about that sort of thing. So really cool to see.
No, it's starting to come up a little bit more, which I'm happy about. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if venues look at that, obviously the drink quality in Brisbane alone will go up. So.
Mm-hmm. And what about across Australia or internationally? What's the sort of standard in that space?
You see it most cocktail bars that when you look at like New York, Japan, anything like that. Like even Japan, a lot of bars don't carry ice machines. They all buy it in as clear large blocks or pre-cut.
Is that directionally frozen as well?
Yeah, more on a mass scale, so like directionally frozen but with agitators, like fish tank motors in them.
Yep.
Which is a large piece of equipment.
Yep.
You've got a couple of guys in New York that do it commercially and sell to venues, and I've seen that now in Melbourne as well, and I've seen that in Tokyo as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, that is interesting. So obviously pushing forward with Brisbane, innovating, taking it to another level here with what you're doing.
With here, obviously when you look at Cloakroom Bar, you've obviously been here before. The service is a little bit different. It's probably the first venue I've worked at with no menu whatsoever, and everything's done around the conversation, which kind of creates a more mentally pushing venue for a bartender than most bars.
Yeah.
So just bringing up those recipes and be able to create something on the spot quite quickly as well is a very, very different. But the feedback we've got recently is good. So I think it's going to push drinks all through Brisbane up to that level a little bit more.
Awesome. Can you tell us a bit more about Cloakroom, the Cloakroom and the space here that we're in? Thank you very much for having us today here, by the way.
Cloakroom's obviously a hand-tailored menswear store. Coming up to 10 years, so they first opened in 2007 in Brisbane. We have a venue in Montreal, so we have the suit shop, the barber shop, and the bar in Montreal. The bar's about almost 2 years old. Little 20-seater, exactly the same thing we do here. All the concept is exactly the same. And then we just opened our menswear store in Tokyo. We're about to open our menswear store, bar, and barber in Melbourne as well.
So it's a bit of a franchise.
In a sense, all the venues have that little like feel. Obviously, Brisbane's a bit different to Montreal, so we all have our little feels and like different tweaks to suit the city that you're in. But I wouldn't really like to call it a franchise. It's more of just a brand that we like to expand into different cities that we enjoy.
And what made you want to build it here? What made you want to work on the Cloakroom?
So my business partners, obviously, I've been working for the Cloakroom quite long and founded the Cloakroom. And first time I came up here, I suggested that we put a bar here. And then 2 weeks later, we started sitting down looking at plans. I was aware of Montreal being only 6 months old, not even 6 months old. And I thought it was something that would really work well in Brisbane.
And how are you finding it? Because it is very fresh.
It's very fresh. Small bar like this, obviously, does take a week or two to gain momentum with press, with media, and the public. We're nailing it at the moment. I'm really happy with my team.
And what's the capacity here?
35 seats. So we're capped at 60 with Queensland Government, but 60 is standing. So 35 seats for us, all table service, everyone gets seated, everyone gets greeted, and all bespoke service for all those 35 seats.
What innovations or innovative techniques, you mentioned the ice there before, have you seen take place in the industry while you've been working in it?
I've seen the ice growing a lot more in Brisbane. A bit more innovation, like obviously here we have a tincture program that crosses between all our bars. So we don't really buy many bitters or anything that in. We kind of all try to make it in-house. I've seen that happen a lot in a lot of bars. And just people pushing the way they make drinks. I'm always happy to see and experience and try.
The way they make drinks, what do you mean when you say that?
Oh, the way they make drinks, the way they present drinks, and just the ingredients they're using, trying new things and trying new products and trying to create something different.
So what sort of things have you seen over that time? Are there any particular standout ingredients or techniques or anything that you've seen?
One thing I've been quite impressed with, actually, that Angus, my bar manager, just whipped up. He whipped up an oyster shell tincture, which I've never tasted before, and I was a little bit skeptical of when he first presented it to me. But something like that going on a martini is perfect.
Yeah.
That saltiness, that brightiness just works perfectly.
Yes. Okay. What changes, so I mentioned changes you've seen, what changes do you want to see take place in hospitality?
I'd like to see, obviously, more venues like this come up where like the service is really put forward. I'm kind of over bars that kind of, you go to the bar, flick through a menu, pick a drink, they make you a drink, and then you leave to your seat. I think I want to see the service kind of extend from just that, and kind of customers being more aware of what they're drinking because the way the staff are talking to them about that drink.
Is it just the way that the staff are talking to them, or what is it that provides that higher level of service?
Yeah, obviously it does come down to mostly staff presentation and how they present the drink to a customer. But obviously it's Brisbane, and customers' knowledge is getting greater and greater and greater with what they're drinking. So it's becoming easier and easier to have an educated client.
With what they're drinking there, how are they learning? How are they learning about those drinks? Are they learning by going to cocktail bars, or are they learning by going online?
Most of the time, I've noticed that they're just going by cocktail bars and asking questions, and then having the bartender be able to explain that to them in a way that educates them is really good for the industry.
What's your number one industry resource been on your journey?
My resource, I have an avid collection of books.
Yeah.
I pre-order every book before it's out. I actually got some up today.
Awesome.
But just the study and the mentorship between different bartenders is definitely key. I'm not one of those people that hide my recipes away. Like if people want copies of our specs or anything, I'm always happy to share, because it's as long as they're not making a signature cloakroom cocktail in another venue and calling it their own. But I'm always happy to share knowledge. I think it's quite key.
Who's really influenced you?
Obviously the Bowery boys that I grew up with through my time at Bowery. So Dan Gregory's probably a big one. Perrin Collier as well. I did a lot of time with. Those boys have very much taught me nearly everything.
Yeah.
So,
We had an episode with Pez.
I listened to that one. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what books have really influenced you or helped you on your journey? You said you pre-ordered them.
Oh man, I just sit through the internet and sift through books all the time. But Liquid Intelligence was probably one of the biggest ones that kind of pushed the industry, obviously, with trying those different kind of techniques, as in like producing things or like making syrups, or the way you shake a drink, or the way you carbonate a drink. Kind of does educate a little bit more. What else? Recently, I just picked up the Meehan's Handbook for Hosts, Jim Meehan's new book, which I've been flicking through today because they're up today. And that more goes down to the style of service, how to present your venue and how to present drinks, as well as classic cocktails.
Okay.
Which is really,
what was
really
that called
good.
again? Meehan's Handbook
Meehan's Handbook for Hosts.
For hosts. Meehan's Handbook for hosts.
There's another book called Setting the Table, which literally just comes down to communicating with customers and making customers feel welcome. And the things like that, like making eye contact at a bar and making sure they know that they've been aware that you're going to serve them.
Yeah.
Instead of someone just sitting there waiting, thinking the bartender's not going to serve them.
Super, super important. And service comes up in almost every episode. every bartender says, or a manager, owner, anyone says service is the utmost priority, which is because we're in a service industry. The first person I think to say that was Jamie Fleming in episode 5. But
no, I agree.
Yeah. So I've asked your number one resource there. And you've given us a few. Thank you very much for that. What advice do you have for anyone in the industry, or has a passion for hospitality, or maybe they're not in the industry? How can they build success in their career?
Most of my knowledge, obviously, from written material and stuff like that, but the best thing usually is just sitting at bars and asking questions. Most key things I've ever learned was just sitting at bars asking bartenders about it, like questions. Yeah, it's probably the most key is don't be afraid to ask questions, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. As long as the bartender doesn't give you flack for it, they should be happy to answer that.
From what I've received and from what I've heard about the industry anyway, is that everyone's welcome to answer those sorts of questions. A lot of people are really passionate about building the industry itself. Working together, you said even there you're willing to share recipes with other people, and I suppose that's about the bigger picture. It's about growing the hospitality industry.
Completely, as a whole.
Yeah. So you mentioned there about mentorship as well, and a couple of your mentors, Dan Gregory and Pez Collier. Is there anyone else who's really influenced you or really helped you through a lot of these tough decisions you've had to make with what you're doing here?
When you look at like a lot of the boys at Gresham, like obviously I worked with Brendan Osmers during my time at Barry. I also worked with James Hughes in time at Barry. He just finished up at Gresham to go to Singapore, but he's been one of my good mates, and kind of we've worked with each other in our progression through the industry. We both were barbacks at Barry, so
Oh geez.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. What's your biggest challenge right now?
Mostly my main focus is pushing this venue to the potential that it should be. Pushing it so the brands, obviously Montreal, Brisbane, Melbourne, Tokyo, all meet the same standard. That's kind of like what I do and oversee all of those. that's my main goal at the moment, is to like always produce a better product and always work quite hard to extend our range of knowledge with my staff and with the products that we produce here at Cloakroom.
How are you going about doing that?
We do a lot of staff training, which I always think is very much key, and just always experimenting and trying new things and just trying to keep on pushing the boundaries of what we're trying to produce.
How do you know if what you're experimenting with is good or bad, or how do you get that feedback?
First, the feedback will generally come from like every other staff member. Like, I'll present something to the whole team, or one of my other bartenders will present something to me and my team. We'll kind of give each other feedback and say if we should pursue it or start again. And then apart from that, if it gets past that point, we'll start presenting it to customers and then always ask for feedback as well.
It's really, really important to have that strong feedback culture with the team. But how do you create that comfortability with, or comfort with providing honest feedback in the team?
That just comes down to the staff that I've chosen. I'm happy with all the staff that are here to be able to present something and to be able to give honest feedback. No one's here to beat anyone up, so everyone's here to produce what we all think that they can do. And the customer feedback's always kind of key as well, with the style of service that we're offering and the amount of communication you do have between a customer. The feedback is quite easy to get as well.
You mentioned earlier on in the episode about building the brand and connecting with press and media and whatnot, and that's taking longer to do. How are you going about doing that as well, and how are you connecting with these guys?
Well, most of the time, like, me or my communications manager will reach out to brands or publications, and it's been really good feedback at the moment through like Broadsheet, Australian Bartender Magazine, or Weekend Edition. It's been really good feedback, and then we do host some events for like media outlets or surrounding businesses and stuff like that, which has been working quite well.
And you've got a big event coming up.
Yeah, so Cloakroom's 10th birthday. That's more to celebrate the brand as a whole. So we've got all our tailors down from Tokyo. We've got our bar manager down from Montreal, and we're going to throw a big party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that closed for you guys? Is that open to the public, or?
It's a private event, but you're looking around like 200 people.
So you'll be packed.
Yeah, it'll be in the bar, in the shop, in the barber shop as well, and probably down in the laneway as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mikey, for being on the show. I've got one last quick question. What's next for Michael Pattison?
The next step at the moment is Cloakroom Melbourne. So we're about to start construction there. So that's going on the 48th level of a new high-rise that they're building on the river at South Bay. So all my focus is hopefully going to move from Brisbane to Melbourne very soon. And then work on the team there, and then try to recreate what we've got here and what we've got in Montreal and Melbourne.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Thank you very much, man. It was awesome having you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man.
You can find the Cloakroom on Elizabeth Street, Brisbane City, or check out thecloakroom.com.au for more info. Stay in touch with the show after hours at Hospopreneurs on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Do you know a hospopreneur? Shoot us an email, hospopreneurs@gmail.com. Creativity and innovation in hospitality. The Hospopreneurs Podcast with James Henderson.